All that coming up. Welcome again. This is HLN Now. Michael Lons. We're keeping you updated on that horrific story out of Utah. Utah mom, police say she admitted to killing 6 babies. 1 baby stillborn. So 7 babies in all, found in her garage. And there she is in court today. Megan Huntsman's her name, shackled, the green and orange jumpsuit. You can see that distraught look on her face. Brief court appearance today. She's appointed a public defender, and they decide that she will be in court again next week as both sides sort things out. Philip Holloway's with us. We're leaning on his expertise, law degree. Hey, Hannah, let's look at the video again of her in court, because I think that's the first thing that strikes people is her demeanor, her look. Obviously, a distraught look. Do you see the insanity plea coming here soon enough?
I think it's something that they definitely are going to have to look at. It's going to be problematic, though, because everyone who seems to know her has come out and said she seems like an otherwise normal person. She's admitted to strangling these babies, okay? So if those confessions are admitted in her trial, I don't know how you win this unless it's some type of insanity defense. And even then, that is a big uphill battle given what we know about her at this point.
Okay, and as we update everybody, as we look at the sad facts here, or what we know anyway, on what's coming next. So you've got the prosecution. They've got to be very careful, right? Because autopsies are complete. There was one report, we knew one was female. Other than that, it takes a while to get all that information back. So how do you file the proper charges and proper dates?
Right.
Right?
Right. They're going to have to nail down a lot more specific facts, and that's why they needed this extra time. And I don't know if a week's going to be long enough, to be honest with you. The death penalty is not off the table either here for this woman. You know, this is a multiple murderer, a mass murderer, if you will. It's rarely used in this state, however, and I think once in the last 13 years have they actually carried out an execution. So they may not actually seek the death penalty, but they've got to look at this one very closely for all possibilities.
I'm sure some of our viewers think, all right, why the delay? You've got 7 dead babies. She's admitted to it. Why doesn't this move along?
Well, they've got to know exactly what the charges are, because they have to prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they pick the wrong charge and they have some element that they just can't prove based on a lack of forensic evidence or anything else, then they could be setting themselves up for a not guilty verdict. So a prudent prosecutor is going to take their time and make sure that they get the indictment right. There's no rush. She's not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You know, everybody wants justice when you think of the precious babies found in a garage in cardboard, right?
Juries hate baby killers, absolutely hate baby killers, and it's one of the most difficult types of cases to defend, and it's painful to prosecute them as well. They're just awful.
Yeah. And I think the big, you know, obviously of many questions we still have is the why, the motive here. What could have, you've got 3 daughters, older daughters, and one was born in the middle of this timeline, roughly, right?
I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm familiar with these types of cases, and one thing that is going to need to be looked at, she could very well have sociopathic tendencies, meaning that she doesn't have any empathy towards other people. That's not necessarily legal insanity, but it might be an explanation as to how someone could do something like this.
Yeah. When you first saw this, leaning on your law degree, and you're a former cop as well, so your investigative degree as well, what was your first question beyond motive? I mean, how painstaking is it to get to the answers we want? Or do you think she's talking and we just don't know?
The first question that I had was, how in the world could anybody not notice all these multiple pregnancies? And if she carried them to full term, how does somebody not know that? And even her children and the people in her own family, it's just mind-blowing to me. I cannot begin to get my head wrapped around it.
Yeah, and as we're looking, there's her estranged husband, Mr. Darren West. And that was, you know, and you're right along with our viewers. So many have asked us that question via social media, Twitter, Facebook, and things like that. We had a neighbor who lived next door for 14 years and say, on one hand, she's a small woman. I think she weighs like 105 pounds, but her weight fluctuated. But the neighbor we talked to said, you know what, I thought that she looked pregnant, but just kind of brushed it off.
Yeah, I guess if you gain a lot of weight, or you put on like loose-fitting clothes and you do things like that, I suppose it's possible to be a recluse and stay inside and wear loose-fitting clothes and maybe nobody notices. That's got to be the explanation, because I really can't think of anything else.
Wow. Okay, we're going to stay on top of this one for you again. Megan Huntsman due back in court next week. Philip Holloway, always good seeing you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.